So this is part of your Jobs Tour Vermont. Last week you had some successful run-ins with businesses in Rutland and Waterbury, and today you toured a few businesses down here in Windham County. What are you finding to be the overall voice of the small business owner in Vermont?
You know, Chris, the first thing that I hear loud and clear is taxes. And when small businesses say, when they hear Montpelier legislatures say that, you know, businesses and jobs are important, I have heard literally from small businesses that say they're hanging on by their fingernails, many of which are disappointed that last legislative session the legislature chose to increase taxes. And increasing taxes in a recession, when you listen to small businesses in Vermont, is really difficult. And it's troubling to me when I talk to these small businesses and we talk about last year, according to Forbes magazine, the state of Vermont was 36th in the country. Now we're, as a result of the action of the last legislative session, our ranking has decreased to 47th in the country in terms of business friendliness. Two primary reasons for that. One is our fiscal situation, the tax climate, and the other is our regulatory environment. Both of those are opportunities, the way I see them. They're opportunities. I'm a native Vermonter. I love this state. I've traveled all over the world helping to promote Vermont products, Vermont companies. I've been to Asia. I've been to Quebec many times. I've been to Cuba, sold $7 million worth of milk in Cuba. I am bullish on Vermont, but the legislature needs to understand that what they do or choose not to do in terms of streamlining, making our regulatory environment more simpler, or raising taxes as was done by the legislature, imposing their own budget, overriding the governor's veto for the first time in history. That really sends a message. And I'm hearing some positive suggestions. Just heard had a roundtable here in Brattleboro, and there's some positive here. But as I heard from a couple stories from small businesses, the proof is in the pudding, and that we need more than lip service. We need an understanding of our challenges. People like Jeff Lewis and Hugh Barber, people trying to help work to create jobs, are doing an outstanding job. So that's true. But I did hear in one of my conversations, kind of listening, one third-generation Vermonter who ran a small Vermont business for 3 generations, who does business in Vermont and New Hampshire. He says, Brian, when I go to expand my business in New Hampshire, they show up with a wheelbarrow and they say, how can I help? And in Vermont, they show up and they build walls to stop me. That's unacceptable. We need to encourage our Vermont employers, our small businesses, we need to retain them, we need to serve them, we need to work in partnership and collaboration with them to grow Vermont companies. And why do we need to do that? Because the revenue that these small businesses produce allow us to educate the next generation. They allow us to provide the benefits and health care to the infirmed and the disabled and the people who depend upon state services. Those revenues allow us to make sure our streams and lakes and rivers are clean. And so we need a thriving, vibrant small business sector so that it'll allow us to do all the great things that we hope to do. But those are some of the themes that I'm hearing.
So what would be your proposal to assist small businesses in the state, to attract new small businesses, to have small and medium-sized ventures in Vermont expand, to really help not only get the economy going, but to bring more jobs to the state, bring younger people to the state? I overheard you say that Vermont is the second oldest state, I think behind only Maine. How do you get young working families, or just more jobs in general, into the state? What would be your proposal?
Well, the first thing is we need to acknowledge reality. And as I said, the Forbes Business Magazine and a number of other, the Tax Foundation, American Legislative Exchange Council, Vermont's taxes are within the top 10 or top 5 in the country. Last legislative session, taxes were increased. Capital gains exemption was done away with. The estate tax was done away with. The deductibility of federal income tax and a number of other sin taxes were imposed. A digital download tax. So the first thing we can do is I support when the governor presented his budget yesterday, he talked about sunsetting those taxes that were imposed. Two of those taxes, the capital gains exemption and the estate tax. Those are two ways we can do it. Just move Vermont in a direction of more sustainability, put Vermont on a sustainable path in terms of our spending, right size our spending, more consistent with the ability of Vermont taxpayers to pay. Vermont income on a per capita basis is about in the middle of the country. Our benefit structures are in the top 10 in the country. And so small course corrections to move us in that direction, that's the first thing that we can do. In addition, there's a lot we can do with our regulatory environment. According to Forbes, we're 44th in the country in terms of our regulatory environment. There are improvements that we can make in Act 250. As an example, if a town, Brattleboro, has an industrial park and there's the town has done the zoning, why would we require someone who wants to build in an industrial park to get an Act 250 permit? It doesn't make sense to me. That's a perfect example of if a town has come together, built an industrial park, the zoning's been in place, that we should exempt an enterprise that wanted to start create some kind of entrepreneurial activity in an industrial park, we should exempt them from Act 250 as another example. And there are many other opportunities for us to do things smarter and to work to use our resources more wisely and still protect the environment. Those are two examples. In addition, we need to continue to build out the broadband and communication infrastructure. That is something I just heard loud and clear at every stop this morning. The connectivity, the reliability of the connectivity, the access of the connectivity, even within Brattleboro. And as I listened in Vermont circuits this morning, the reliability of even in Brattleboro of the Fairpoint communications. So we need reliable, we need accessibility, and we need further penetration within our state. And that's a critical component of retaining Vermont companies and attracting employees that want to come from other parts of our country to live in this great state, to use the great recreational opportunities, to take advantage of jobs that we do have in Vermont. And there are jobs in Vermont. And that would be a third area that would have to be a priority. We need to also be mindful of, in terms of retaining and keeping our young people here, we need cultural experiences. We need a great educational system like we have in Vermont, that for especially young people that are considering starting families. The excellence of our school systems has an impact on retaining and attracting new Vermonters to our state. So the availability of capital is another area that is another theme that we need to make sure that capital is available for small businesses that need capital on a daily basis for cash flow or to expand, and that's another area, that's another an issue that came up this morning. So those are some of the considerations, Chris.